Welcome back, coaches. Today we're going to continue our discussion on the seam read package by taking a look at one of the best teams in college football to run the seam reads this past season, and that would be the national runner-up Washington Huskies, led by head coach Kalen DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Both DeBoer and Grubb had a fantastic way of packaging their seam reads within their offense to get their playmakers the ball and create clean reads for their quarterback. To learn more about how to install seam reads within your offense, take a look at our previous interview with Coach Josh Herring and check out his CoachTube for more information on how they can install it for you this upcoming season. Let's take a look at the film. This first clip looks at the seam reads at the bottom of the screen. And when we look at Washington run this, we're going to focus first here on this front wide receiver. If you want to look and learn the different rules that apply to both the front receiver who will run the seam read and the back receiver who's going to run the circle read, please go and consult Coach Josh Herring's CoachTube or listen back to our previous episode and interview with him. But in this case, the front wide receiver who's running the seam read here is going to be reading the seam defender, which in this case is going to be this defender here. If he were to vacate the region and go either up and become the alley defender, or if he were to get depth towards the middle of the field and the seam read gets a feeling that he can either run by him or that the defender has vacated the region, making it uncapped, he's going to continue up the seam vertically and look for the ball. The back receiver who's going to run the circle read is going to read the corner here. As he does an inverted release and stems outside, he's going to do the exact same type of read, except he's going to do it on the corner. And in this case, if he feels that he can blow by the corner at a predetermined landmark, or if he feels that the corner either vacates the region, he will continue up the sideline. If he doesn't believe that he can do that, then at a predetermined landmark, he's going to come back to the ball and look for the pass. As you can see post-snap, the safety gets depth. And as a result of this safety getting depth, our seam read hitches up and looks to the first window. Because there is nobody there, he can set and hitch and look for the ball from the quarterback. Whereas if you look at the bottom defender here, the corner, that circle read receiver does not feel like he can get over top, so he's also hitching up at a predetermined location, coming back and looking for the ball. This clip looks at a different version of the seam read, adding a different motion element to help get the exact same read for the quarterback. In this case, we're going to look at the bottom of the screen again, and we're going to focus first on this H-back. This H-back is going to use, whether you call it tear motion, away motion, whatever it's going to be, he's going to get depth and go up towards the numbers and the top of the numbers. When he gets there, he's going to be running the circle read, which means he's going to be keying in on the corner. Again, just like we saw in the previous clip, if that corner is to vacate the region and either comes up and becomes the flat defender, or he gets depth and works towards the middle of the field, that circle read can then be converted and he can go up the sideline and go vertical. The X receiver here on the line of scrimmage, he's going to be the seam read defender or seam read runner. He's going to key here on the safety that's going to be the seam defender. And much like last time, if that safety gets depth towards the middle of the field or vacates the region, or if he feels like he can blow by them and get on top of him in the route, he will continue up the seam and look for the ball. If he does not, he will hitch up at a predetermined location in either the first available window, or he can even work to the second available window. As you can see, the corner gets depth and the receiver does not feel like he can get on top of him. So as a result, he hitches back. When we look at the seam read, he is collided here early, and also the safety is staying right on top of the seam, right on top of his read. So now he's able to hitch back up, looking for the ball at a predetermined location. This clip, you're going to see another variation with a different type of motion, this time from the boundary using orbit motion. When orbit motion is used here, it is used to affect here the high safety, which is going to give a different post-snap look for our seam read who's going to be coming from the back. As he sees the orbit motion, it's going to trigger more of a forward movement here by the safety, which is going to hopefully create an uncapped look for the seam read and potentially a big play. In terms of how it's going to affect the circle read runner, which is going to be the front wide receiver, he's still going to be keying the corner. So just like he has in the past, he's still going to be getting depth on the outside and at a predetermined location. If he can't get over top of him or the area is not vacated, he's going to come back looking for the ball. Now you can see from running it back a second time, the orbit motion affects that high safety. The safety comes up, gets flat-footed, opening up the seam read for a big play for the Huskies. In this look, you're going to see Washington start from 3x1 location, and we're going to have the motion across their H receiver. He's going to become the circle read, which means he's going to be reading the corner. Again, looking to see if he uncaps before coming back at a predetermined location. Whereas the X receiver in this case is going to be reading the safety, who's the seam defender. And in this case, you're going to see that the seam defender uncaps by moving, and you're going to see that the X is going to get a good release up the seam, uncapped for a big play for the Huskies. Just another way to paint the picture for the defense, but keeping the read clean and clear for the quarterback. That you're going to see here is a bit of formation manipulation that really uses the concept to create space, but they use it as a way to manipulate space as well. So as we look here at the concept, the front receiver is going to do the seam read. So when we look at the front receiver, he's obviously going to read the safety here, but you can see he's very far away from his landmark here, which is going to be the seam. With that being said, that creates a large window here for him to be bent into with the ball by the quarterback if the seam uncaps, or if he needs to find a window in case the seam does not uncap. In this clip, you're going to see that the seam doesn't really uncap as the safety is going to get depth along his original location, but he leaves such a big window because of the too high structure that if he bends into this window here, it gives it a space for the quarterback to throw the ball into and have a really wide range of an area to complete the pass. Now, when we look at the bottom defender here who's running the circle read, because of his pre-snap alignment and because he's reading here the corner, doing a normal circle read and getting up the sideline here doesn't leave a lot of room for the quarterback to fit the ball into, even if the read is 100% accurate. So in order to overcome this, the receiver has an inside stem to recreate space and take it back before coming back to his original location and determining whether or not he is capped or uncapped and coming back for the look for the ball. Again, just another way for Coach DeBoer and Coach Grubb to scheme a concept that they have a high percentage of completion with, and also creates a very seamless and transferable read for the quarterback.